It's cost $47,364, which kind of makes me want to vomit. What is going on, guys? I hope you're having a fantastic day. I just realized it's been over 4 years since I've done a maintenance video, letting you guys know exactly how much it costs to maintain the cars in my collection. And it wasn't until a couple weeks ago when I saw James, the Stradman, post a maintenance video on his cars. You guys gotta check that video out. I learned some pretty cool things, some of which were more expensive than I was expecting, and some of which were cheaper. After watching the video, I realized the last video I did on car maintenance was 4.5 years ago with my green supercharged Lamborghini Huracan. Rest in peace to that car. So today, I'm gonna be going over all of the costs of ownership to both have and maintain this 2019 McLaren 600 LT and this 2021 Tesla Model S Plaid. Starting with the McLaren. In terms of reliability, McLaren as a brand has gotten mixed reviews. Some owners have them and say they've been trouble-free, and other people that couldn't be further from the truth. Now, the reality is, some of the McLaren models have had some issues over the years, but from talking to everyone I know with the 600 LT and browsing forums, it appears this one somehow escaped and is one of the most reliable McLarens they've ever made. In fact, I haven't actually had a single thing go wrong during my entire 3-year and 3-month ownership with this McLaren, minus one thing, and they sorted it from the factory. So essentially, when these 600 LTs were originally produced, they had really lightweight, thin windshields, but the supplier of the windshield, who wasn't McLaren themselves, turns out they baked the windshields at the wrong temperature when they were manufacturing them, making them too brittle, so a bunch of people in the early days of 600 LT deliveries had cracked windshields. So I drove mine for about 3 months. Rest assured, it cracked down the middle, and it was a little bit confusing and a little bit concerning. Would that happen again? They figured out that it was baking the windshields at the wrong temperature. They solved the issue, sent me a new one, no cost, and since then, there hasn't been a single other, knock on wood, issue with my 600 LT. So how much has it actually cost to maintain that? Now, over the past 3 years, I've put 17,300 incredible miles on the 600 LT. So obviously, you're gonna have to replace things like tires, replace things like brakes, and do oil changes. Of course, there are insurance and registration costs as well. Now, for whatever reason, it always seems like people are super curious what it costs to insure a supercar, as if it's gonna be some astronomical number that makes the car unaffordable just based on insurance. And I personally haven't found that to be the case. Even when I was under 25, when you're over 25, at least in the United States, you get a little bit cheaper insurance premiums, it still wasn't all that crazy. I'm 28 years old, and this car cost me $363 a month in insurance, which to drive around 10,000 miles a year in an aggressive 900 horsepower McLaren, I think that's relatively reasonable. Here's the part that sucks. Registration in California is based on the car's original MSRP of $369,000. So every single year, I have to pay $3,500 out of my pocket to keep this car registered and on the road. That, because you're paying it all at once, feels like a half-the-year chunk of money. Now, another thing people are often scared of is what do oil changes cost on an exotic car? Well, if you go to an independent mechanic that actually knows what they're doing, like Avant-Garde Exotics, who I always recommend in LA, it's not that expensive. An oil change for the 600 LT will only set you back about $700. So far, I've had to do 2 oil changes on the car for a total of $1,400. Now, the 600 LT does come with expensive tires. From the factory, they're Pirelli Trofeo Rs, but I prefer these, the Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2s, which are about $1,600 for a set of 4. I put 2 different sets of tires on the 600 so far for a total cost of $3,200. Now, because these cars come with carbon ceramic brakes, you don't actually have to change the ceramic rotors, hopefully for the entire life of the car, but you do need to change the pads. Those came out to about $1,200, and I've only had to do that one time. This thing is horrendous on gas. Currently, it's costing me about $500 a month just in gas. So I've got some notes here. Total maintenance over the 3 years was $5,800, which really isn't that bad. If you add in insurance, registration, and gas and maintenance, then over the 3 years, it's cost $47,364, which kind of makes me want to vomit. But if you break down that 47 grand into monthly costs, it's only $1,300 a month for 3 years. In my opinion though, you've got to look at it just from a pure maintenance standpoint, and that is $5,800 over 3 years, which for a car that's this amazing to drive, honestly seems like a steal. All right, on to the Tesla. Next, we've got the new Tesla Plaid, which has been a dream in terms of maintenance, as Teslas usually are. First up is insurance costs. So instead of going with State Farm that I normally use for insurance, I decided to mix it up and use Tesla's own insurance, which is $246 a month. Now, knock on wood, I haven't gotten into any accidents yet, so I'm not actually sure how great they are if collisions do happen, but $246 a month for a 1,000 horsepower daily driver is not all that bad. Now, in terms of maintenance, I've had this car for only 8 months, but I've put 15,300 miles on it. I've gone literally everywhere. I did a road trip to Texas, which was so damn fun. Then I drove it up to Northern California. I even, with my girlfriend, camped out in the back of it. It was actually relatively comfortable. So all I've had to do so far is replace 2 sets of tires in the back. And the reason being is this. Because I lowered the car, it actually messed with the camber of the rear tires a bit. If I didn't lower the car, I'd still be on the same tires, so my maintenance cost literally would have been 0. Now, because the car was cambered inwards a little bit, the inside of the tires were wearing faster than the outside of the tires, meaning I had to replace the 2 rear tires quicker than I would have normally. They basically weren't all that worn on the outside edge, but on the inside edge they were. So that is preventable. If you don't lower the car or you get a tow arm kit, you can fix that. But so far, I've only had to buy 2 new tires. Now, because the car has optional 21-inch wheels, the tires are a lot more expensive than I think even I was expecting, having bought a lot of expensive tires in the past. They're about $460 to $480 a tire because it's a really weird wheel size, and not a lot of supercars have 21-inch wheels that are that thick with that offset, so on and so forth. Next up are charging costs, which are significantly less than fueling up a gas-powered vehicle. As I mentioned, the McLaren cost me about $500 a month in gas. Now, if I drove this as my daily driver, I'd imagine it'd be above $1,000 a month in gas. I drive this thing absolutely everywhere, as you can tell. 8 months, 15,300 miles, and it only cost me $76 a month to charge at home. Now, that price does jump significantly if you are using Tesla supercharging stations, particularly in LA. They tax a lot for electricity, so it might cost you something like $30 to $35 for a full fill-up on this car, whereas it might cost you $100 to $150 on a gas car. So maybe 5 times cheaper. But if you charge at home, the savings are absolutely enormous. The only other maintenance-related thing that has been done on the Model S is it had a little scratch on the rear bumper when it was delivered, and also a little smudge on the side of the car. I scheduled an appointment with Tesla service, and I dropped the car off at the local service center. Unfortunately, they didn't have any loaner cars at the time, but what they did give me is 10 days worth, in their eyes, of Uber credits, which was like $1,200 of Uber. Unfortunately, you couldn't use that for longer than the 10-day period. Otherwise, I would have kept them forever and used free Uber forever. But I just took Uber Blacks everywhere for 5 days straight so I could use up all of the funds that they gave me. But they replaced everything really quickly, OEM finish. The only thing I'm still missing is there's a cargo cover that's Alcantara that's supposed to go on the back that I need to pick up at some point. So there you guys have it. Are you surprised by the amounts? Are they lower than you're expecting or higher than you're expecting? So far in maintenance, $1,000 on the Tesla Model S Plaid, and so far in maintenance on the McLaren, $5,800. Or if you factor in everything, it's like 47 grand, and I still don't want to think about that. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Like always, please browse the channel and subscribe. I look forward to seeing you next video.